Hey everybody, welcome back to Insane Feats of Baki the Grappler. I'm Chris, and today we're going to talk about the man of the fist himself, Retsu Kaioh, the man who's mastered the 4,000 years of Chinese best waifu. Sorry it's been so long since the last upload. I just recently started up college again after Christmas break, and I just bought a $2,000 new PC and had to transfer all my files to it. Anyway, I'm back. Again. And for those of you new to this series, this isn't supposed to be as much of a character overview as it is simply me talking about feats performed by a character in Grappler Baki that I thought were either particularly cool/interesting, or I thought exemplify how impressive characters actually are in terms of strength, speed, skill, yada yada yada. If you missed the first episode in this series covering the Master, Goki Shibukawa, a 75-year-old jujutsu master based on the legendary Aikidoka Gozo Shioda, go ahead and give it a watch after this. Also maybe consider giving this video and that one a like. It doesn't take much effort, but it really does help the channel out. Seeing as I've gathered a decently sized following here on YouTube, I think I'd like to try and start doing like goals. It's just something I'll try out for a bit to see if I like it, but I'll basically be using these like goals to prioritize the dozens of series I have on the channel. If you guys meet the goal, you'll see the next episode of the series sooner. For this episode of Insane Feats of Baki the Grappler, the like goal will be 40. Something fairly reasonable, seeing as the Shibukawa edition got about 30 likes without even setting a goal. If you guys think I deserve it, or you guys want to see the next episode of this series covering the legendary Miyamoto Musashi sooner, give that little thumbs up button a tap. Okay, YouTubers shilling aside, let's start with awesome feats. Cue the intro.
Why do I feel like I linger between the words to say the words to remember?
Retsu is known far and wide across the series as being one of the most skilled martial artists in the world. His striking and general free fighting are nearly peerless. He is the physical embodiment of the entire 4,000-year history of all Chinese martial arts, and he is without a doubt at least in the discussion for one of the most talented fighters in Baki. Need proof? Well, to start with a not as fantastical but still impressive feat of martial ability, Retsu, despite being in a massively compromised position, was able to reverse Jiaku's throw. This is particularly impressive because of the way Jiaku is throwing Retsu. Jiaku is basically locking Retsu's shoulder and transferring all of Retsu's weight onto one leg. By doing so, Jiaku can half Retsu's ability to balance himself and use his foot as a sort of fulcrum to yank Retsu straight downward without Retsu being able to reposition his remaining foot to catch himself. Retsu, despite having all of this done to him, is able to slide his foot back to sprawl the throw, while on one foot and gain leverage without losing balance. He also shifts his weight forward using his back muscles and reverses the throw. This isn't entirely impossible in real life, so not really fantastical, but this is still a god-tier level display of balance and general grappling skill, as well as the strength to reverse a throw from that position and essentially hoist a grown-ass man into the air with one hand and on one leg. Next we'll talk about the time Retsu Kaioh caught a sword bare-handed. While fighting Musashi, Retsu allowed Musashi to cleave through his fist, only to clench it as the sword entered. With Retsu's insane grip, he was able to stop Musashi's sword and overpower Musashi's own grip of the blade. This is particularly impressive as Musashi's grip has shown to rival Pickles, who can lift several-ton dinosaurs, and Hanayama's, whose grip is comparable to the pressure exerted by the Mariana Trench. If Musashi can contend with those beasts and Retsu can stalemate him, well, let's just say Retsu's got a better grip than I once believed. Think that's impressive? Well, a feat of skill for this warrior monk from the Beijing Temple is that he, like a couple of other characters in the series, has what amounts to Ultra Instinct Sign. While Ultra Instinct allows you to unconsciously dodge an attack at will, for those of you that don't follow Dragon Ball Super, Ultra Instinct Sign is a version of Ultra Instinct that allows you to attack and dodge unconsciously. However, this is not something you can typically use at will, rather it seems to be a natural reaction. As Goku gets closer to mastering Ultra Instinct, he begins to be able to activate it on command and attack instinctively, but initially it would only activate instinctively, and he could only evade with it, with him having to consciously attack. Characters in the series like Baki and Yujiro have shown to both attack and defend without consciously trying to, but even Retsu was able to take a combat stance while unconscious. After being knocked unconscious during his fight with Musashi, Retsu's body was able to take his signature Mabu Gong, or horse stance, even though he was completely passed out. Retsu's not only about strength and skill though, this master of Chinese Kung Fu can also take a beating and keep chugging. During his fight with Baki, Retsu was able to continue a competitive fight against Baki after basically having his neck snapped and kicked directly after. Shit reminded me of one of those chiropractor videos where some dude fucking mangles some chick wearing yoga pants.
So yeah, that's good.
You thought that was the worst of it? Think again. Returning to the Musashi fight, spoiler warning for a major plot point of Baki, so anime-only fans be warned. At the conclusion of the battle between Retsu Kaioh and Musashi, best boy Retsu Kaioh is killed by Miyamoto Musashi via bifurcation. However, before dying, Retsu is able to remain conscious after being bisected. He does indeed die shortly thereafter, but rather than being in complete agony and suffering, he simply starts to strategize his next fight with Musashi. While it is likely he is in shock, the fact that he feels and is able to vividly describe the experience of being sliced in two is nonetheless impressive. Honing in back on Retsu's niche, which is typically speed and skill, Retsu was able to use his impressive speed and vast skill to use Shaori to dodge one of Musashi's full power slashes. In essence, while Musashi was using a blade he considered to be less than stellar, the fact is that Retsu took a direct hit from an actual sword slash from the legendary Miyamoto Musashi by relaxing his entire body with Shaori and rolling with the slash. We clearly see where it indented on him, similarly to what happened to Doppo, but unlike that case, Musashi was robbed of the ability to decide whether or not to cut. What he wanted made no difference to the 4,000 years of Retsu Best Boy. He also goes on to use a Shaori roll kick combo to counter Musashi's sword slash, taking one of these legendary sword slashes of almost certain death and giving it right back to Musashi, and actually at one point goes toe-to-toe with Musashi using a 9-section staff. Think about that. He was not only rivaling an armed Musashi with his unarmed skill, but he is also so prodigiously talented and experienced with weaponry, he is able to rival an armed Musashi with a weapon in the same fight. That basically amounts to Retsu being not only immensely talented in multiple different hand-to-hand fighting styles with up to 4,000 years of history, but he is also nearly peerless in multiple weapon arts as well, almost unrivaled save for Musashi and likely Kaku. And yes, I didn't mention Gaia or Motobe in this because they aren't particularly skilled in the use of weapons when compared to these gods, but rather their strength lies in how they use their weapons, case in point Motobe's spear versus Musashi's sword. Finally, to end this circle jerk for Retsu, let's talk about an OG classic feat of his awesome skill, the toe-using skill. Here we have a man who is praised as one of the most skilled fighters in the world, having mastered the entire 4,000 years of Chinese martial arts, both armed and unarmed, to the point of rivaling legends such as the greatest swordsman to ever live and a family of perfect genetic combatants. His weapon fighting is lethal, his hand strikes and grappling are brutal, and his kicks are devastating. What would be the only thing that could make this combatant even more awesome? Perhaps if he could use his feet as 2 extra hands. Like the man can literally punch and grapple with his feet and toes. Feet are deadly because of kicks, but what if you were so skilled in the use of your toes and feet in combat that you could kick, punch, and grapple with your feet? Do you have any idea how devastating it would be to fight somebody that could, in theory, grapple you with 4 different limbs? Fuck blocking punches and kicks, you could be grabbed by a fucking foot and pummeled with 2 fists and a foot. All man's gotta do is jump and get some serious airtime, which we've seen that he can do. Retsu Kaioh is one of the greatest martial artists in Baki, and he's incredibly strong, fast, and durable to boot. And that is going to do it for this episode of Insane Feats of Baki the Grappler. If you enjoyed this episode, think about subscribing to the channel to become a member of the family today. Go ahead and hit that like button if you liked the video, or you want to help hit that like goal to get the next episode featuring the legendary Miyamoto Musashi. Hit that notification bell if you want to know what I'm uploading and when I'm uploading it, so that you can stay up to date on all my releases, which seem to happen once every half a year at this point. Well, I've been Chris, the surgeon of YouTube content, and this has been Insane Feats of Baki the Grappler. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Retsu